Surely the most tragic thing in this life is, as a parent, having to bury your child. It's not supposed to go that way, is it? And recently had a couple in, and I was tattooing the guy. They were from Perth, Australia actually, and they flew over because they had some friends over here. And what had happened is their son, who was my age, had been involved in a really tragic and horrific car accident where he'd pull out of a junction, a motorbike was going way too fast, smashed into the side of his pickup truck. His kids were involved in the crash. Fortunately they were okay, albeit traumatised, I'm sure. So the family have all come back over to England to basically mourn the loss of their son together. Now, it was the guy who'd booked in with me and his wife came along with him. They were in the early 60s. And I was telling this guy's story with this really interesting tattoo of him walking down a beach with his son, who was, like I said, my age. And in this tattoo, he was walking his son down towards his ancestors, and there were some figures down at the end of the beach. And it was a beautiful piece. Now, as his wife sat there with him, I asked her, I said, "Are you going to be getting one?" And she kind of just froze up a little bit, said, "No, I'm not really sure." And I'd left it alone, I didn't press. And as I carried on doing the tattoo for her husband, I asked again, I said, "What is it that's holding you back?" Because I thought to myself, if anybody's going to do this tattoo for you, it needs to be me, because I'm doing this one for him, right? I'm not going to push her, but I need to just try and undo some of the blockages that she's got. Because the last thing I wanted her to do was go home, decide that she did want the tattoo, end up back in Perth, Australia, in a street shop, getting a small tattoo that didn't mean as much. So we got to the bottom of why she didn't want it, and she wasn't quite sure what to get to tell the story. His was quite elaborate, but she was so cut up by this thing that had happened, she just wasn't sure how to tell the story. And I said, right, okay, we've got plenty of time, I'm tattooing your husband, let's dive into it. She had a necklace on. And in this necklace, the centre, it was a love heart, the centre of the love heart had been punched out. And she told me that they put that love heart in her son's hands when he was cremated, and that she now wears this love heart that's got the heart missing out of the middle that went off with him. And I thought, what a great idea it would be to tattoo a love heart on her inner forearm, which is an important place for memorial tattoos and important ones, because she can see it and she can also hide it when she drops her arm by the side. What a great idea it would be to get a love heart there. And she agreed. She said, that sounds like a good idea and I'll go for it. I thought, why don't we just go one step further? I said, let's take that necklace off. I'm going to trace the inside of that heart that's been punched out, and we'll tattoo that exact heart on your arm. So you are not just wearing a love heart that symbolises the one that was sent off with him, you're actually wearing the exact heart that was sent off with him. So that's what we did. We took it off and she came with me, and I made sure, I was adamant that she stood next to me and watched me trace the inner of this love heart so that she knows for the rest of her life that's the one she's wearing. What's interesting about this tattoo is that it was one of the most powerful tattoos that I've ever done. And it took me the least amount of time of any tattoo, and I didn't charge her for it. But what an honour it was to be able to tell them stories to those two people. And I hope, and I'm pretty sure, that implanting those two pieces of art in those people with that energy attached to it, that they got it done at the same time with so much meaning, has hopefully helped them process that trauma and enabled them to get on with their life. Thanks for listening to their story.